Well, here to shed some light on that is former FEMA director under George W. Bush, Michael Brown. Michael, great to see you.
Good to see you, John.
Michael, where do people even begin? When I look at it on television, it's overwhelming. If you're a resident of California, if your home was destroyed or partially destroyed, where should you begin to rebuild?
Well, I think first and foremost, everyone needs to look to their insurance policies. Hopefully they have insurance and get those claims in as quickly as possible. And as that gentleman just said, you know, they'll have friends, neighbors, volunteers. They'll have a whole host of people who will, no pun intended, flood into that area to try to help them. But last but not least, the federal government, the president has declared a presidential disaster area for all of these fires. So FEMA will come in, and FEMA is going to offer some assistance. But I caution everyone to think that FEMA doesn't rebuild homes. FEMA doesn't put your life back together. All that FEMA can do is offer some temporary housing, maybe a little bit of cash to help you buy some clothing and some cooking utensils, just to kind of start rebuilding your life. They're not the end all and be all. So this is going to take a massive effort of non-governmental organizations, volunteer organizations, insurance companies. Everybody's going to have to chip in because the government's not going to rebuild stuff. And I just want to caution people because they hear that, oh, a disaster declaration has been declared, FEMA's coming in, they think they're going to write a big fat check, rebuild their homes, and everybody's back to normal within a month. And that's not going to happen.
No, right. And that's actually great advice. So unbelievably, it's rain that the rescue workers and residents are now worried about. They wanted rain, but now it's posing a problem. So as hundreds of volunteers are sifting through that ash and debris, searching for any signs of life or, sadly, human remains, rain can hamper those rescue efforts. It can hamper the dog's ability to smell, but it can also lead more dangerously to mudslides as the vegetation is all burned away. So if you were on scene as a response commander, somebody in a position of authority, how would you be prepping your first responders for this next phase, Michael?
Well, there's a couple of points. I saw exactly the same thing back in 2003 when we had wildfires like this in San Diego County.
Right.
And then personally, I experienced this with a home that we have in New Mexico where we had forest fires all around us. And then the rains came. And so the first responders have to immediately the urban search and rescue teams and others have to, as quickly as possible, get the cadaver dogs, the search teams in to try to find either remains, unfortunately, as you say, because truthfully, this is a recovery effort. This is not a response effort at this stage. So you've got to try to find those bodies, because here's the really bad news. The bad news is, while the rains will help dampen the fires and help the containment efforts, the floods are horrendous. And by that, I mean there's no grass, there's no underbrush, there is nothing to slow the floodwaters. So as quickly as we saw these fires jump across treetops, even just a couple of inches of rain are now going to turn into flash floods, and it's just going to push everything down into the gullies, the rivers, and just wash everything away. That is, in my opinion, as bad as the fires.
All right, so let's talk about something positive. People have lost so much, but America,
please.
America is stepping up, right? We're seeing GoFundMes, yes. We're seeing charitable organizations. Now, it may be difficult right now, but what message do you have to Californians for them to remain hopeful? What would you tell them, even though everything looks very bleak right now?
That America is the most giving country in the world. We give more money to charitable organizations, churches, synagogues, the GoFundMe campaigns, all of that. So the outpouring of monetary resources will be overwhelming. So I have a cautionary tale, though, for everyone who wants to right now write a check. First, check out the charity. Make sure the charity is worthwhile. Make sure that they have a good record of actually spending money on their programs. Or do this. Find out if there's a local church that's raising money. Give money to that church. Give that money to a well-known, like the Salvation Army, which always does yeoman's work in these disasters. Just be careful of where you give your money, because unfortunately, there will be scammers out there that will want to take advantage of how giving we are as Americans.
That is absolutely invaluable advice. Michael Brown, former FEMA director, thank you very much for being here today.
Yeah, always good to see you, John.
Always great to see you, Michael. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to see more breaking news coverage, exclusive interviews, and great videos, click over here to our YouTube channel and subscribe. And don't forget to download the free Newsmax TV app. Newsmax TV, it's real news for real people.